Hello everyone, this is Soumya. In this video, I'm going to explain the concept of ecological niche. Ecological niche is nothing but, the term niche was first time used by Grinnell in the year 1971. Niche is nothing but an idea where the organisms lives in a particular area in an environment, and how those organisms are living in their environment, including their diet, shelter, and various other factors or the behavioral aspects of of that organism with a particular environment is what you call a niche. So niche is something. It is a space or an environment in which an organism is living. So this includes whatever the aspects or the consideration the organism actually takes up, that is their diet, shelter, and etc. Will be considering and explaining the niche. So there are mainly three types of niches are there: spatial niche, tropic niche, and the multidimensional niche. So as I was explaining in one of my videos regarding the habitat, I had taken an example of a wooden log. I said a wooden log is a microhabitat in a huge forest macrohabitat. So in that wooden log, we can see various organisms are living in a precise places. So since though it is a single wooden log, in that wooden log only we can see various organisms will be living in a very defined area. So that is what we call the niche. So in that defined area, those organisms which are living over there, so they'll be going up with all their physiological and biological processes. So that is what the niche explains. So the spatial niche explains it is a physical space occupied by the organism. As the name indicates, spatial niche or the habitat niche it is otherwise called. It is a physical space when an organism is placed in an area. But that particular organism occupies some space. So that is the physical space occupied by the organism. Will be dealing with the spatial niche. Next one is a tropic niche. So we have the various tropical levels. When you look into the food pyramids and the food pyramids, there at the base of the food pyramid, we can see the producers. Next comes the primary consumers, secondary consumers, tertiary consumers, so on and so forth. And in all those levels, we can come across various organisms are there. So when the organisms are just kept in those any of the tropic levels, then that can be called as a tropic niche. The niche which comes under in any of the tropic levels. So that is called the tropic niche. It is easily distinguishable again. Well, the last one is the multidimensional or hypervolume niche. So hypervolume niche was it actually explains the fundamentals and the realized niches of an organism. So if an organism is living in that particular area, so whatever the fundamental basics are there in that particular niche, and what are the factors that has to be there in that niche, it is a three-dimensional niche. So the spatial niche is occupy only the two-dimensional spaces, the spatial and the tropic niche, but the multidimensional niche occupies the three dimensions of the environment. Yeah, the example for the spatial niche, the Darwinian finches, which has been explained during the while explaining the evolution in the finches. Darwin has taken up an example of the finches, so that can be taken as a good example for the spatial niche, where in a particular island, different types of finches were there. Of course, they were morphologically different, but and their morphology differed with the habitat or the food habitat of them. So in a particular tree, so it's a tree. In that particular tree, various birds are living. So the bay-breasted warbler, black Burmese warbler, Cape warmer. So this is how we can see different kinds of birds are there, and all those are accommodating in that particular uh, space in a tree, but is at the different locations based on their foraging. Certain birds are insectivorous, certain birds are wood eating in, I mean the fruit eating in individuals. Certain birds They'll feed on certain small organisms. So that is how they have different foraging habits. So next is tropic niche. As I said, it's a tropic food pyramid. In that food pyramid, we can see the primary producers and then the consumers, so on and so forth happens. When any of the animal or niche which comes and sits in any of the tropic levels, then that can be considered as a tropic niche. And this is a hyperdimensional or multidimensional niche, hypervolume niche. See the this is the spatial niche, which will be accommodating in the two dimensions, whereas the hypervolume niche occupies all the three dimensions. How they are living and what are the fundamentals of the organisms in that particular environment has been considered while explaining the hypervolume or three-dimensional niches. So to conclude with, in this video, I explained the niche, ecological niche, and the types of ecological niche. Niche is nothing but it's a particular area where organism is living. Organism is living, it's not just living in that particular area simply. Various factors are affecting the organism survival. So by considering, when we consider all those organisms like their shelter, food, etc., so then that can be called as a niche, ecological niche. Three types of ecological niches are there: spatial, tropic level, and the tropic niche, and the multidimensional niches are there. So these are the references I referred for this video. Thank you.